All right, let's talk about, or I should say, you talk about season two of Animaniacs.
Right.
Didn't get around to checking it. Unfortunately, I was recommended by you to see the first season. Well, of the
Yeah.
revival. This was in our special where we talked about where we talked about the Star Wars holiday special and the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reunion special as well too, right?
Right. Right.
So
Right. Right. Right.
you remember it was all about nostalgia and all that kind of jazz, right? So yeah, Ricardo, take it away, season two of Animaniacs.
Yeah. Not much to watch because I'll just straight up say it. The impact of the nostalgia of this has kind of gone. Like it's just more observational comedy that is a little dated, or at least a little dated in style, and um, that's pretty much it. It's just more Animaniacs. Season two. I actually was surprised that they got a season two. I kind of forgot. They just continue the general arc of what's going on. They bring back a couple things in terms of general jokes. But I can't in good conscience say they did anything like particularly interesting or well done. Like one of the first episodes is they had like this time loop episode involving Pinky and the Brain. In Pinky and the Brain called Run Pinky Run, which is a play on Run Lola Run.
Ha
Um,
ha ha! Yeah, I
right.
know that movie. Ha ha
Yeah,
ha.
yeah, and it don't really do anything, to be honest, that really had me like roped in or that particularly interested. Um, it's just more Animaniacs. Like I actually didn't think I would have like when I was actually just thinking about it, it's like, oh, I don't really have much of a review here because I have nothing else to say. It's just Animaniacs, more Animaniacs, just tell the
All right.
jokes.
Well, I have a
I
question, right? This is not so much a criticism. This was just an observation, right? I remember in season one, can you remember in the original series, it wasn't just Pinky and the Brain that they used to cut back to, right? They had
right,
stuff like Goodfellas and the
right,
Huntsman, which I fucks with the Huntsman. I think that's
right.
like one of the best you know
Well,
parody concepts of a superhero ever, in my
right. So
opinion.
they
But they don't
yeah did a
they
whole
don't they
they did
don't
a
do
whole
that
right.
in this season, I imagine, right?
Right. No, they did. So they had a whole episode dedicated to like explaining why all of them not there and why they don't come back. Blah blah blah.
Oh,
Uh
okay, okay.
yeah. So they kind of addressed this in this one, kind of, but like they didn't. I think they should have done a lot more with that. But yeah, I don't know. I dug it for what it was. I again, I really struggling to like figure out like is this about Animaniacs season two to really talk about or to roping together to say, wait, boy, you really need to watch this.
Well,
If you
well,
like,
it's well at least it does it still justify its existence though?
yes,
Because for me, while I did enjoy the first season, there were times while I was watching it where I was like, well, it was cool back in the 90s, but
right.
like, do you really, 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 really need this in 2020?
Right.
And they,
That's
you
the
know,
problem.
they really go to the way to kind of answer, well, not really, but hey, we still here, right? So let me make the most out of it. That's how I felt season one was.
Yeah, no, that's basically the problem. Like the first time again, it had this just pure nostalgia. It relied on that. They made jokes about it. You expected them to make jokes about it, and they expected you to expect them to make jokes about it. This time
Yes,
around,
yes.
not so much. Like this one is like it really is a stretch, because it's just Animaniacs, and if you find that funny, great. But because I'm in my mid 30s, I don't. Sorry to say it. Like it's not too much like um comedy or whatever it is, that I prefer. Like they say I had goddamn Inside Job, which was like a big hit for me.
Mm.
And this is no Inside Job. It don't really have any of that going on for it. It is funny, kind of. It makes a few references, a couple other jokes, for what it is. But yeah, I won't say it's bad, but I just thoroughly underwhelmed by it because it's just playing to that audience. But it like I don't know who this for anymore because it can't be for kids. So I don't know who's these people who are like really into it. It's fine, I suppose. Yeah, I'm not sure if you'll get into this one. I'll give it a lot more a lower rating, but I didn't hate it or anything like that. Just moving on.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
All right. Well, speaking of nostalgia,
right,
let's talk about Home Sweet Home Alone. Now I
right.
know
So
what
I
you're thinking.
I completely skipped this.
Yeah.
I am avoiding this. I heard this was some bullshit. Not watching it.
Yeah.
I don't have time in my life. So whatever.
Yeah, so I know what you're thinking. Hey, Machi boy, like, why you being so advantageous, man? Like, this movie is trash, right? So what's the point of talking about this, right? Or why are you doing this to yourself, Max? You know what I mean? Why you doing this to yourself, Matthew? Like, why are you doing this? Like, even on Facebook, I made the joke, pray for me, and people were like, why are you going through this for? But I have a legit reason why I wanted to see this, right? So I'll just jump into, not the review yet, but just how I got into this, right? So Home Alone, sorry, Home Sweet Home Alone, right? So the trailer for this, it dropped about a month ago, I believe it was. I was just like speechless. I just didn't know what to make of this. It felt so unbelievably dated and pointless. Even though it stars a relatively new actor in the scene, and this would be Archie Yates. He starred in Jojo Rabbit. He was actually
Right.
Jojo Rabbit's friend.
Yeah, yeah,
Being well
right.
part of the young Nazi group, if you will,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, right.
But nothing about it worked for me. It just felt like just a shameless sequel, right? Or
Right. So
remake, right?
why was this made exactly? Like I remember the vague like it had a couple like sequels after two. There was a different child actor, and I just forget. I just
I,
that went straight to video.
I'll
Uh,
talk about that. I'll talk about that, right? Yeah.
okay.
But yeah. So what interested me, right, was not so much that it was 20th Century Studios making this, right, but it was released on Disney Plus.
Right.
Now, I mean, when Disney Plus came into fruition, they had a couple of they had a few Christmas releases. I remember we covered one for the life of me, I can't remember it as well. But it was decent. And it's because Disney Plus is all about the family mostly, right? So like I could kind of see on paper why a show like this would exist, right? But it's Home Alone though, and just to jump into just my honest opinion on the Home Alone concept, right? Now, I would straight up say, right? So, first one is Christmas classic. It is,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Agreed.
Um, what really makes it work though is the timing of it. It being released in 1990, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of Gen Xers, being young at the time, and just being able to relate to Kevin McAllister, played
Right.
by Macaulay Culkin, right? We saw this 8-year old, or was it 10? I can't remember. We kind of saw ourselves in him. They're like, oh, here's this kid. He's home alone, because he found he was just so ignorant about him, so dumb that he just leave him by accident.
Right.
And it's like it just kind of tap into that. Oh wow, I mean, if we had the house to ourselves, what would we do, right? All the crazy shenanigans you get into, right?
Right.
But
And
then, oh, we
this
have the
upper upper middle class family, ridiculously
yeah,
wealthy house. Yeah. Whatever.
yeah, exactly. I mean, they had money, right? But
Yeah.
even regardless of what your financial status was or what your family's financial status was, you kind of saw yourself a little in Kevin, right? And then it was even better now because hey, you know what I mean? You have these two bumbling crooks, sorry, right?
Yeah.
The sticky bandits, right? That they
Right.
were called. Then they became the wet bandits when they went to New York, right? But I'll get to
Right.
the
Right. Right.
sequel in a bit, right? Played by Daniel Stern and Joe Pesci, right? And and it was kind of like for the life of me, I'm always amazed though that Joe Pesci could play in the same year one of the grimiest gangsters ever put to screen in Goodfellas, Dread,
Right.
and be this bumbling idiot in Home Alone, Dread. Like
Right.
that just amazes me, right? In the same year, though, in the same year.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so yeah, at the time, like when you're young, you see it, you love it, right? It was on TV all the time, you love it, right? You grew to love it, right? Um, and it's one of those shows that again it really plays very heavily on this on your nostalgia, just remembering where you were and how old you were when you first saw it, right? And then cut to 2 years later, there was Home Alone 2 Lost in New York.
Right.
I actually remember how big of a deal that movie was. That was huge. Like
Yeah.
there was like a KFC promotion for this show. That was how big this shit was, right? It is admittedly one of those sequels that a lot of people kind of look back on and be like, it was alright, like compared to the
Yeah.
first one, right? But still, at the time, it was a big deal. It was the shit, you know. But I could still kind of watch it and enjoy for what it is. But to me, I felt like it really couldn't hold a candle to the first one, right? And I'll explain why. Because don't hate me for saying this, right? But I just felt like the first one had a solid enough premise, right? It was just pretty much taking, the Roadrunner, Wile E.
Right.
Coyote style of cartoon violence and translating it in live action, right? And it just had like, the bumbling moments, someone slips on, on kerosene and falls
Right.
and, hits their head on the floor and slips on snow and, it's
Slapstick.
just
Yeah.
these slapstick gags basically, right?
Yeah.
And that's what worked, right? So the first time, yes, it worked, right? The second time, I would say this to Hitman is they were lucky. It was like them just trying to see, trying to like if see if lightning can hit the same tree twice.
Right.
It didn't really, but they were
Not really.
lucky
Yeah.
enough that it worked, right?
Well, yeah, because
And
what at the
I felt
second
like
one,
I felt piece last I was say I felt really what the sell of was just the
in New
set
York.
piece. We're not doing this in the house anymore.
Right.
We do this in New York trip. We do
New
this
York.
in a
Yeah, that was the
hotel,
sell.
right?
Yeah.
That's the sell.
Yeah, they were selling New York in the early 90s, and it was the Trump Hotel, and
Yeah,
yeah,
it was
I
a
think
Trump hotel. It
yeah, and I
was
think I think I think Donald Trump made a cameo himself, and
yeah,
they
I
had
can't remember though, but I know he was in it. Yeah.
yeah, and then wait is boy, they had like the big seller the second one was the hotel staff. They were funny.
Yes.
Like they got
Yes,
what was
especially the oh gosh, one of my favorite scenes with the the four old time gangster film and
right,
Kevin
yeah,
played
yeah,
it and
Yeah,
why
Merry
you go
Christmas, you
down
filthy
on your
animal, yeah.
knees and say you love me, you know what I mean? We
Right,
love
right.
you, right?
No,
Classic
but it's
scene, right?
this fellow was in the hotel staff. What do you call him? Oh God,
Tim Curry.
Tim Curry, right. And that's
Yes.
his sell. That was a big joke. That was like why it was really fun because he just played Tim Curry bounced off of Kevin really well. Like
Yes,
Tim
he
Curry
did.
face, sorry, Tim Curry's face is like really, really like ridiculous. And then the weird we call she pigeon
Oh, the
lady
pigeon
character.
lady, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Which
yeah. And
which
then they
actually
had Toy
made for
Store,
like a really like nice heartwarming moment though. Like I won't
right?
lie, it was nice. It's
And then the
beautiful.
Toy
Yeah.
Store. So they put enough in it for it to work, kind of. He lost in New York to justify why. Everything made some sense, kind of. I mean, I suppose, but McAllister is like a quick-witted kind of bullshitter, so that's why he gave away all the bullshit. No?
You know?
Um, he had the dad's credit card. They just give like the quick script bullshit reasons. Like none of it
Yeah.
supposed to make sense, but whatever, right? I mean, but yeah, I remember enjoying the second one for what it was. But yeah, compared to the first one, it's nowhere near structurally coherent or anything like that. But
Agreed, yeah.
then I have almost no memory of the sequels. I just think it had a third one, but it was like a bunch of like European bandits or something like that coming to our house. I couldn't remember the third one
Yeah.
for the life of me.
I remember avoiding the third one like the plague. This one came
Right.
out in '97, right? I just saw it. I just saw a trailer for it. I say nah, 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 nah. And
Yeah.
then as I said, direct to video. I should say, straight to TV. They was taking back the house in 2002, and there was the holiday heist 10 years later, right? So I
Okay.
avoided both, right? But
Okay.
point I bring it up all with all this, right, is that I still feel like Home Alone is just one of those movies that just work for like the first film. Like it was as perfect as it could be, and any iteration, any tweaking of that scene of that formula that made the first one work, it just
Yeah.
won't stick. It just won't land. And
It.
two was lucky. Two was real lucky, yeah,
You're right.
for it to work. And because you had Macaulay Culkin front and center again, that will make it work, right? But then the third one, you bring this new kid and like, wait, no, who's this new kid? Like, who's you, right? We don't know. And then for all we know, I haven't even seen the other two, and I don't really care. Before this new one here, it's probably new kids as well, new protagonists. So like, what's the point? Kevin was the main cell. Macaulay Culkin at that time when he was young, and he was like probably the biggest child actor in the world. That was his cell. After that, it's like, who cares? You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, and it's only so much, and I'll get into this with Sweet Home Alone. You could only do so much with this premise, right? So
Yeah.
let's just jump into this review here, Home Sweet Home Alone, right? I may get into spoilers, but I mean, half of y'all listeners probably not even gonna watch the show anyway, so I might as well get a little spoiler, right? So hold on to your seats for this one, right? So this show you're thinking that it actually is about Archie Yates' character, right? So he plays Max Mercer, right? He's this British kid who, well, his mom is British, but for some odd reason, like the family around her, remember, is this extended family similar to like Kevin, right? Are mostly American, right? So usual thing, they have to go on a flight and to go to Tokyo, and everybody's like running around, and is the typical thing that we've seen in first, right? The family just moving all over the place and nobody cares about the main character, and then the main character feels isolated, so he goes off and hides somewhere, right? And then afterwards when he comes out, everybody's gone, right? So they do that, right?
Right.
But here's what they do here, right? So compared to the McAllisters, right? The Mercers are like, I don't want to say filthy rich boy, but these people have real cash, right? So
Okay. Yeah.
like it's to the point that how to say it? Like Max's character literally goes into like the family car, right? Like the family car, and like stays there and watches Roadrunner cartoons on the like the backseat has a little TV and stuff like that, right? So they watched it there, right? And he just suddenly just conveniently nods off to sleep, right? And then when he wakes up, everybody's gone, right? Everybody else around him either like playing video games. Is this his sister who actually has a VR headset. So everybody pretty much like rich there. Like everybody have some kind of piece of technology and all that kind of stuff. I'll talk about technology as well, right? So all that going on, of course, Max is home, and he does what every kid does, he wilding out. Is the typical Kevin McAllister shit, right? And in case you're wondering, yes, they block they block internet access. So you're thinking now in 2021, your parents at home, so you can go on the internet and fuck around. It's like, well, no, they actually show that he's blocked off of the internet. It's like, okay, that's kind of clever, whatever, right? So then we have, hold on to your seats again, right? We have Jeff and Pam McKenzie, played
Okay.
by Rob Delaney and Ellie Kemper.
Okay.
To people who are like when I see them on screen, I mean, Eddie Kemper, you remember from The Office, Rob Delaney, from, Deadpool 2, Hobbs and Shaw, and, just two comedians who, I mean, they have great on-screen presence, but my God, they really deserve better than this, right? So they are husband and wife, right? So they don't really have it as well as, as the Mercers, right? But they're trying to sell the house. Actually, Keenan Thompson makes an appearance as a real estate agent. What I see is like, bro, like Keenan, what's up with that, right? If you're an SNL fan, you'll know where I'm coming from with that joke, right? Whatever,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
So the point is they want to sell the house, right? But their daughter doesn't know about that, right? Trying to keep things a little hush hush because they're not sure if they'll get through on that, right? So through some circumstances, well, actually, I'll say what happens. Max's mom, well, Max is all complete that, oh, I need to use the bathroom, I need to take a shit, blah, 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 blah. So, his mother who's driving him is like, all right, let's stop off by this house because, oh, it's for sale, but let me just act as if that we're going to buy the house potentially, but, it's just an excuse for you to use the bathroom, right? So he does that, right? And then in the process, the mother notices that Jeff has these dolls, right? And there's one particular doll that, for some god awful reason, has his head, twisted the other way, twisted back to front now. So kind of like a exorcist, but in a different way, right? And she says that, it actually worth, tons of money, right? So Jeff actually goes on eBay, realizes, oh shit, this actually worth like 2,000 US, whatever it is, right? But here's what happened. Apparently, apparently the doll is missing, right? And Jeff kind of thinks to himself, oh, Max stole it by accident, right? Because Max is actually playing around with it, right? So still holding on to your seats, right?
Yeah. No.
So Jeff and Pam decide. Well, it doesn't. It takes a little while for them to come up with the plan. But this is what they do, guys. They decide to break into Max's house and steal the doll. So yes, folks, Jeff and Pam are now the sticky bandits in this new version of Home
Right.
Alone. But this is what the show does wrong, and I'll jump into the review here one time. It spends so much time making you sympathize with Jeff and Pam to the point that it almost becomes their film and not Max's. Max's is almost pushing back every time Jeff and Pam are on screen. It's always about, well, we need to get this doll. We need to cover the plan to get this doll. And through some circumstances, we find out, oh, this is the security code to get inside. But in Max's head, right? he assumes that because he overhears them at a point in time, right? Like when they were trying to sneak it, right? He overhears them like scheming a plot, like the night before they actually do the real thing for real, right? So in Max's mind, he believes that they want to kidnap him now and send him to like some old people. You know what I mean? So basically, he'll be tortured by old women for the rest of his life. Like they'll basically buy him for like a huge sum of money. Basically, that's how he sees it in his head now. So that's when he goes about doing the whole booby trap plan. You know what I mean? The montage stuff, and even get the same music that they use in the first two movies and him set up everything, and then when you see it play out, it's almost the same thing, beat for beat for beat.
Right, right,
Kerosene on the kerosene on the driveway, right? You're walking, you slip, you fall, right? Icicles falling on your head. um Paint cans tied to rope being swung and hitting you
right.
on
Yeah,
on the forehead, right? All that stuff, you've seen it before. You've seen it in the other films, right? Uh, you know what I mean? Well, they don't do they don't do, oh, you're stepping on nails in this kind in this case
right.
though, that you do, you're stepping on friggin' Legos, right? You're stepping on Legos, right?
That's actually
Like,
that's actually a funny joke. That's actually pretty funny. That
well, when you see it, you'll think it's funny, right? But yeah,
right,
but again, it's because, okay, in the first two films, right? Because I haven't seen the others, right? You just knew that the bandits were bandits, right? That was it, right?
right,
They just wanted to steal shit, and they just saw, oh, there's these people, and oh, they left for the holidays. Cool. They go in, they steal shit, and they go. That's it. You don't need no extra backstory behind that, right? But here's like, well, Jeff and Pam going through hard times, and you know, man, we just need to get this doll because if we could sell this doll, we could make some money and all that kind of stuff. And yes, I know Rob and Ellie are likable characters, right? Yeah, I'm sorry, likable actors, yes. But they didn't need to spend so much time just trying to flesh them out and trying to make us care for them, basically, when ultimately they're just going to be abused by this kid, right? Speaking of Max as well, too, that's just way more annoying than I expected. They real try to sell it off like, well, my God, like how could his family ignore him and all that kind of stuff there? But compared to Kevin McAllister, no, at least they made you care about Kevin because yeah, Kevin was well, he came off as a brat at times, right? And yeah, he was bullied and all that kind of stuff. Well, sorry, teased by by Buzz, and if you remember Buzz, right? I'll get to Buzz in a bit. Right?
all right.
So
Yeah, was he one of the cousins?
yeah,
They
if I'm
bring
not
him back.
mistaken,
Okay,
yeah,
wow. So it
yeah,
is in the same universe then.
it is.
Okay,
It
okay.
actually fucking
Yeah,
is
I
in
remember
the
he was like
same
one of the
universe.
one of the kind of asshole cousins that used to bully
Yes,
Kevin or something like that. Right? Yeah. Okay.
yeah. So speaking of Buzz, Buzz makes an appearance in this show. The same actor who plays
Yeah.
Buzz
Okay.
shows up
Right.
in the show.
Okay. They get back the actor. All right. All right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
He is a cop now.
Okay. Okay.
And what
All right.
happens is
Good.
that he's answering this well, the second attempt at by Jeff to break inside the house, right? Where the idiot who actually knows the code, right? The code is so simple, 1112, presses 2221, right? And I see what call him an idiot because in the last instance where he tries to break in the house, the man actually punches 1112. So it's like what happened in the middle? But they had to have an excuse for the cop to show up because yeah, the alarm went off, right? So they're gonna see what happens at that point. But yeah, you see it's Buzz to the cop, right? And then he
All right.
mentions too, because you see a sign there, Kevin now owns this this home security company now. And he makes this prank every Christmas, apparently, that he calls in this fake report. Oh, somebody's breaking inside the house now, breaking inside my house. So it gets Buzz to, break routine and check it and then realize, oh, it was a prank and, it was Kevin just played the ass. Okay, he does this every year, whatever, right? And that's a joke.
Right. Okay.
That's a
Okay.
joke, right? We set time in my opinion, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, like I said before, just so much time spent on Jeff and Pam, not enough time on Max. Max just comes off way more annoying than expected. You're supposed to like this kid, but you don't. It's even worse that they have him really pretty much quoting lines from Kevin, like you say. are you finished yet, or are you thirsty for more? Whatever it is, that you know what I mean. Just doing the same routines, the same quips every time a character is about to rush in and get hit and whatnot. He does the same thing, Dread. But here's where this movie really, really, really falls, though. None of these jokes work. All of them.
Yeah.
This it does have a couple of moments where you just kind of chuckle a bit, like that kind of interesting. But nearly all of these jokes will fall completely flat. Chet. Sorry, like in it just was not funny. But here's really the reason why I wanted to see this, right? Here's the real reason why I wanted to see this, right? Not so much who was releasing this out, right? Who was releasing this, sorry, but the timing of it all,
Right.
because it's 2021 now, so times change. It's not like 1990 where you had to call the police, like literally thing. And there's even this really god awful joke where they talk about, oh, nobody has landlines. The last time people had landlines was back in '93.
Right.
Oh, okay, well, all right, bougie motherfucker. Nobody has landlines. All right, well, I do. So what? Anyway, so you're dealing with modern technology. You know what I mean? It's modern times now. So you talk about the cloud. You're talking about, like, you're seeing characters, be like using VR headsets and, on the phones and Siri and all that kind of stuff. But they actually call it HomeBot. So it's not Alexa, it's Siri. It's not Alexa, it's HomeBot, right? And there's this god awful, plot point that they make where upon the second time of them breaking inside the house, they hear the HomeBot, right? But the HomeBot is the setting is in German, so they overhear the German and they take it. Oh, there's this German this elderly German woman here, and then there's a moment with him at church, giving toys now, like just giving toys, like donating them basically, and he's talking to one new woman who works in the church, and it just happens to be this elderly woman, right? So Jeff and Pam are actually at the service and stuff, and they look back and they see him talking to the woman, and they assume that's the woman's that is his grandmother. So they assume that this woman, this random woman, is Max's German grandmother. So they can't tell that the big booming voice in the house is from a friggin' Alexa like system. And this is 2021 we talking about here, right?
Yeah.
But anyway,
Well, I.
yeah, this is
Yeah.
how it is, Jed. So it's taking a dated premise. I have to say this, a dated premise, Jed, and trying to adapt it into modern times, but it's never how to say, it's never fresh, it's never smart, it's never original. It just runs the same beats over and over and over and over. You know where the story is gonna go, you know how it's gonna end, right? So last thing I want to say before I get to read it, right? So speaking of end, I will give them a little credit here. They actually do something a little smart. They actually kind of end things on a somewhat heartwarming note because, remember, you're supposed to care for the Mackenzies, right? That's Jeff and Pam. So, it does not end with them being arrested. It's just like, oh, this is what happened, and let's kind of work things out. And now we're happy. And, the mother comes home conveniently on Christmas Day, and blah, 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 blah. And everything's all well and shit, right? And it ends right there. I was like, okay, okay, that's nice. That's nice. It brings a lot of heart to the film. Okay, 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 but too little, too late, right? So at the end of it all, yes, this was an absolute waste of time, though. This was a painfully unnecessary remake. I really would love to find out why they decided to do this in the first place. And you can't tell
Right.
me, well, it's Disney Plus, and we acquired 20th Century Studios, so yeah, that's why. But
Right.
I mean, this was a dated premise, even from 1990, even from like two, I would say. Like like again, Home Alone 2 was lucky to even exist, but after that, you should have just stopped it right there. There's no need for this movie to exist, though. Even though they try to inject some heart in it, especially in the end, there's still no reason to this. And it's one of those shows that I'm really not sure who the audience is for, because I know it have people who will sit down and watch a Christmas film. Like, as long as it's a Christmas film and it's lighthearted and you're seeing snow and Christmas trees and shit, people will watch it. Like, I can imagine people who just have nothing to do, they waited for Christmas lunch to be ready, sitting down and watching this probably out of curiosity, right? But when you have like an almost infinite amount of Christmas movies you could check out, when there's literally Home Alone 1 and 2 you could watch, then what's the point of watching this? Like, what's the point? You know what I mean? It kind of goes against what it's about now. And then if you want to say, well, it's for, Gen Zers now, because, those who haven't grown up on Home Alone, right? Home Alone 1 and 2. Okay, fine. But if Home Alone 1 and 2 exists, and your parents grew up on that, the least they could do is show you that now. And then you could be like, oh, that's why. And you enjoy it, and it becomes like this, this pastime now. Y'all sit down and watch it. You know what I mean? You as the adult enjoys it because you grew up on it, and then the younger ones, your kids, watch it, and it's like, oh yeah, I saw this with my family, and now I appreciate it. No, no, but I can't see fans of the original two films enjoying this or watching this or even
Yeah,
getting
but
past the first
the
five
thing
minutes.
is,
So,
this was I said.
who's the
I don't
audience
understand.
for?
No, I say I don't understand why you're putting all this energy into it because not like they hype it as some big film or something like that. Like I barely know this existed. I think if it wasn't for you, I would have this would have just completely blow past my radar.
Yeah.
So, like I don't know what the hype for was. I
No,
really
well,
don't like.
yeah, there
I don't know.
wasn't really any hype though. That's the thing, and I guess there shouldn't be anyway. But
Yeah,
again, like even as you just said, like there's no hype to it. There was no build up. There wasn't like, oh, what I mean, look out for Home Sweet Home again. Again, right? I can't remember the damn title. Like no real build up to this. It just kind of
yeah,
happens just because, right? I just dropped this thing on Disney Plus D of all these, right? Just thinking, oh well, yeah, people will watch it because it's part of Disney Plus D. But I imagine many people just skip that and just watch more the Marvel teaser trailers again. You know what I mean? So yeah, because of that final moment though, where they brought in some unexpected heart to the story, I'll actually give this show a 1.5 out of 5, man. I was gonna give this a 1, but because of that little bit of moment in the end, I was like, all right, movie. So it earns an extra half a star because of that, boy.
right.
But other than that, though, painfully unnecessary, shameless, unnecessary sequel. Don't even bother to watch this. Just and if you do see it like I did, like how I suffered through this, just do your best to try to flush this out your system as soon as rewatch the first two movies and just pretend that this movie did not exist. And I'll close with a special announcement. I just want to get this off my chest here one time. Because of this show here, it pretty much has inspired me to do, well, this is something that's going to take place next month, please God. Um, my first Christmas special, my first, Christmas special for BBB Radio, right? So
Okay.
I want to do best and worst Christmas sequels and remakes. But the rule is that the picks themselves, right, doesn't have to be follow-ups from actual Christmas movies. So, for example, Batman Returns is a Christmas movie, but Batman is not, right? National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation is a Christmas movie, but National Lampoon's Vacation isn't, right?
Right.
So that's basically the plan. It's just to talk about, hey, this is my favorite Christmas sequel, or this is my favorite Christmas remake. But also there's worse remakes. So more likely you will see Home Sweet Home Alone here, just 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 because. And then of course there's numerous worse Christmas sequels to pick from. So yeah, so overall that is something that you can look forward to, guys. But other than that though, yeah, skip the shit.
See.